Yeah, I think any leader, the hardest part of the job is making are perceived to be unpopular decisions,
Right, right.
and how lonely leadership at times is.
Circle the wagons. The Buffalo Bills are in the house. Wakey, wakey, rise and shine. What's up, everybody? This is Todd Durkin, your host of the Todd Durkin Impact Show, and we have a treat for you today. The head coach of your Buffalo Bills, Sean McDermott, stops in for a visit to the show today, and this is a fun one. You are absolutely going to love the show. But before we get out to the interview, hey, I want to first off wish everyone a very happy Memorial Day. And I hope that you have a chance to stop and reflect today on all the brave men and women who have admirably served our country and paid the ultimate sacrifice to defend our freedom. I was driving by the other day, Miramar National Cemetery here in San Diego, and it made me think about the ultimate sacrifice. And I see this graveyard, and on the graveyard there's these tombstones, right? Everyone's got a tombstone, and you think about your legacy. And with all the craziness going on these days, I want you to even reflect today throughout this podcast episode about your legacy and what you're going to do. And some people don't like the word legacy. I actually like it because it's about your purpose. It's about your gifts. It's about what you're going to do to amp up and get some energy and really some deeper purpose. And right now there is tremendous opportunity for everyone listening, and regardless of your age, to actually amp up your purpose and to go deeper and to think about what that legacy is all about. So today, amongst your family gatherings, if you're having a barbecue, whatever it may be, with the quarantine still in somewhat effect in most states, although it's loosening, I hope that you remember why we're having this holiday. It's because all of those men and women who paid the sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice, their life to defend our freedom. So happy Memorial Day to all of you around the globe and here in the U.S. As well. So, hey, before we get into this interview with Coach McDermott, guys, we are 8 days away from the big launch of Get Your Mind Right. Just 8 days away. I'm actually getting a little nervous. It's like June 2nd, this positivity pandemic is rocking and rolling. So, man, it is going to be awesome. And I thank you for all that you're doing, all the comments, all the texts, the tweets, the DMs I'm getting. So if you have not pre-ordered your book yet, now is the perfect time to do that. Go to the landing page. It's called toddurkin.com/getyourmindright. toddurkin.com/getyourmindright. There's some awesome bonuses there. What are the bonuses? Well, number one, you get 12 journal prompts. You get some lock screens for your phone, and they're really actually cool. You're going to enjoy them. And then there's a special message from yours truly, just for you, that if you get the book in advance before June 2nd, order that. Also, many people have taken advantage of the bundles that we have. So if you would like to order more than one book, there are bundle options available. What's a bundle option? A bundle option is if you want a bundle of books between 10 to 25, you get all of those free exclusive gifts along with some shout outs on social media, and you get 21 audio messages to get your mind right and to get your soul right as well. You get 21 of those. If you happen to get between 26 to 99 books, you get a private message to your team, to your organization, your business, as well as you get access to my mastermind group for Fit Pros. And if you want to get 100 plus books, 100 books. And yes, we have had folks do that. You get all of the above, as well as a special 30-minute Zoom presentation to your tribe, your community, your business as well, along with the Impact Kit, which comes with not only the gray hoodie, it comes with the Get Your Mind Right coffee mug as well. So check it all out. Just go to toddurkin.com/getyourmindright. Get your book today, 8 days away. Order it today, and all those exclusive bonuses are there. So without further ado, guys, you are in for a treat today with Coach Sean McDermott. He is the head coach of your Buffalo Bills. But Sean and I absolutely, we were roommates. Well, we were teammates. We were teammates, and at William and Mary back in the day. And we talk about some of our good times at William and Mary, his path to the NFL, the Buffalo Bills, and what he does to lead. And he turned around the culture. Now he's leading the culture, and also about life. Sean has some really interesting facts. Matter of fact, I kick off the episode with some interesting facts where I put Coach McDermott on the spot. He's not used to that, but when you're his big brother in the fraternity, well, you can do that. So, guys, let's go out to the interview now. I know you're going to enjoy this, and don't forget, if you do enjoy it, maybe take a snapshot sometime at one of your favorite parts of the episode. Take a snapshot. Post it on your Instagram stories or wherever you hang out on your social media, and tag me on that, and I'll repost it. So let's go out to the interview now and enjoy this episode with Coach Sean McDermott. All right, we are back with the show, and we have Coach Sean McDermott in the house. Hey, Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great, Todd. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
I've got my Buffalo Bills hat on, Coach. I'm representing today.
Looks awesome, man. It looks, you know what? You almost look like a player, one of our players. You look like you could still play, man.
Hey, I'm thinking about coming back. And, getting after it as a quarterback. I know you guys are loaded at quarterback, but hey, I'm training as if I'm coming back, Coach. So be ready.
Well, hey, you know what? I wouldn't put it past you. We always need another camp arm, though.
Sign me today. Oh man. Hey guys, before we actually get talking football, I actually want to have some fun and make sure you guys understand our relationship. I've known Sean McDermott since the early 90s. We went to William Mary together, and a couple little facts for y'all. He was my little brother in my fraternity. So we share that fraternity vibe together. He was an all-conference safety at William Mary. This is something that not everyone knows. National champion high school wrestler. Is it 2 years, Coach, that you did that?
2 years. Yeah,
2 years. 92-93, LaSalle High School back in PA. And little known fact, and Sean, I didn't even know if you knew this, we share a birthday together, March 21st. Both our birthdays. I was doing the research. I'm like, March 21st. So both Coach Sean McDermott and myself share a birthday. Now, he's a couple years younger than me, but not by much.
Not by much, Todd. That's right. And you know what? Yeah, I mean, you were a guy I looked up to back in the day at school, and I still look up to you, man. I'm still chasing and riding those coattails, man.
Well, man, congrats for everything you've done. And I know we are proud of you. I love watching what you're doing. And before we actually get started, I got a couple quick hitters so everyone who is either an NFL fan or not gets to understand and gets to know Sean McDermott real good. So some quick questions. These are yes or no, or you can just answer the question. Ready, Coach? Here we go.
Ready.
What do you prefer, cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Offense or defense?
Defense.
I knew you would say that. Football or wrestling?
Football.
Tomlin versus McDermott. And before you answer, I'm quarterbacking. Mike Tomlin split out wide, Durkin quarterbacking, and McDermott sitting there one-on-one, mano-a-mano. Who do you put your money on?
You know what? Now I'd put it on myself. Back then in college, I would have put it on Mike T all the way.
Oh, my gosh. I know it. Those are the days. Hardest thing you do in life now, Coach? What is it? Hardest thing?
Yeah, I think is keeping the balance between family and job. That dichotomy is a tough one to find every day, every week. 3 kids.
What are their ages?
Yeah, I've got an 11-year-old daughter. I've got a 9-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter. So we've been blessed. Thankful everyone's healthy.
And I know your wife and you and the family doing great things back in the community of Buffalo. We've got a lot of loyal listeners back in the Buffalo area. We have a lot of Buffalo Bills fans, Coach. So, man, I know you're doing great things back there. How about quick advice for any young athletes right now who are waiting for their seasons to be announced if they're even going to have a season? Maybe it's high school, maybe it's college. What would you say to them? What would be your advice for them?
Yeah, that's a great question, Todd. I think, you really have to focus on the process right now, because you never know. You really don't know. None of us know what or when this is going to end. So you don't know when the light at the end of the tunnel is really going to shine through. And so just continue to put one day on top of the other, preparing, because at some point it'll come. We just don't know when.
Yep. Now, as we record this, I see you, looks like you're is that your basement back at home, or you're in your office at home?
Yeah, I'm in my basement, which is also part of the basement doubles as my office.
I
Yeah.
like that. So it's like the bunker in Buffalo. It's where all the magic happens late at night when the kids go to sleep. The bunker in Buffalo. The
Right.
bunker. So what does Sean McDermott do to keep your mind right on a daily basis? Like right now, I know you have your Zoom meetings with the guys, but what does Sean do on a daily basis to keep your mind right?
Yeah, so right now it's even more of a challenge than it is without the virus being around. So I'll take you through a
Hmm.
normal weekday for Sean McDermott. Is I wake up, try and get up, at a decent hour. I don't like the day to get ahead of me, so I try and get ahead of the day and get my workout in the morning, whether it's bands.
Yep.
I'm doing a lot of bands or cardio work. I've got a good hill near my house. I'll hit some yoga once in a while for some clarity of mind, and then I'll get my day started and a little bit of quiet time in the Bible, and then I get off onto my day with some work.
What time is that? You say a decent time. Is what time is a decent time for you?
Well, it hasn't been, honestly, I've been trying to get my rest. It hasn't been all too bad, all too early. So I've been getting up I'd say between 5 and 6:30, 5 and 7, somewhere in there.
Hmm.
Just trying to get 8 hours. They're talking about how important that 8 hours is with rest, recovery, and being healthy.
Yeah, good. And you get time in the Word, and then go about your day and keeping these guys right, so that when there's an NFL season, let's concentrate on the word when there's an NFL season, that they are prepared. And I know you do a great job with that as well. I want to talk about your path to the NFL because when I knew you at William & Mary, I didn't know that you were looking to go into college. I know you were a finance major at William & Mary, and then I know we saw each other. Heck, it was 1998 out here in San Diego. I think you joke around. I took you on a hill run, a place called Cal's Mountain, and of course, we stop and do some intervals on rocks. And I think you heard some rattlesnakes or something in the background, right? If
I
I'm not
did.
mistaken.
I'll never do that again. I'll never forget that, and I'll never do it again. Thanks to you, buddy. We're running up this mountain, and all of a sudden you want to stop and do push-ups, and I'm like, we got to keep rolling here, man. We got snakes in the distance closing in on us. This is crazy.
Well, I can promise you next time we see each other, whether it's in Buffalo, out here in San Diego, whenever, we are going to be working out together again, too. So you can bet your bottom dollar that, because I know you pride yourself on your workouts, too.
Right here, man. You see that right there? I haven't been Todd Durkin trained of late, but I'm keeping the best I can with these bands here.
I'm going to send you a special program just to keep those arms. You got to look good on the sideline, coach. When the TV cameras come, you got to look yoked up. That's important.
You can't. I mean, you gotta look the part at least, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But it was then you were going with the Eagles, and I think it was 1998. You spent from 98 to 2011 with the Eagles. Then after that, you went to the Panthers, D coordinator with the Panthers. I think it was 2011 to the 2016, and you got defensive coordinator of the year in 2015, and then 2017 January you get named head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Did you always know you wanted to go into the NFL?
Yeah, I did. I mean, my brother worked in the NFL when I was still playing back at college, back at William and Mary, and I knew I wanted to work in sports. And then the closer I got, the closer I wanted to get.
Mm.
And so I wanted to be at the core of it all. And so blessed to be in this position by the grace of God, and just every day around great people has been a really a joy for me and my family here in Buffalo.
Sean, who were a couple mentors that you learned from, at the Eagles, with the Panthers? Who were a few of the coaches that had the greatest impact on you? And could you share maybe a lesson that each of them shared with you as well that impacts you even today?
Yeah, I'll start three people in particular. So my dad, as a coach, all these under the umbrella of coaching. My dad was a college and high school coach, so I grew up around the game. And then my college coach that coached both you and I together, Todd, Jimmy Laycock, really ran a professional program at the college level, albeit at 1AA. I think there's a lot of people that even played at big schools that didn't have that type of foundation that we had. And then my first stop in the NFL was with Andy Reid in Philadelphia, and I think that really speaks for itself. The things that he taught me, the things that I was able to watch, and so that was three great coaches that I was able to really build a good foundation from.
What did Andy Reid teach you?
Man, what didn't he teach me? I mean, probably the biggest thing I could tell you is to have a vision is one thing. I think there's a lot of people that have goals, but to have the plan, the day-to-day plan to accomplish that goal is another thing. And he had an unbelievable, thorough plan to get us to where we were trying to get to in Philadelphia.
And you do a lot. You replicate some of the preparation he taught you now.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, preparation, thoroughness, organization. I mean, Andy, one of the many other things that I learned from Andy had a binder of every position he coached before he even coached that position. So I use that for myself. And when I was a safeties coach, I wanted to be the defensive back coach. So I kept a defensive back binder. Same thing to become a linebacker coach, to become a defensive coordinator and then head coach. So not that you ever close that gap totally until you're in that job, but in this case, I feel like I was as prepared as possible, as I possibly could be for different roles that I've had.
What about was he the defensive coordinator with the Eagles when you were there that he passed away? You were really close with him as well. Was it Coach
Jim
Johnson?
Yeah, Jim Johnson. Yeah, one of the best, to me, one of the forefathers of zone blitzing and really good defensive football. It was like, for me, I say this humbly, being at the Harvard of defensive football, being around Jim Johnson and that staff.
Yeah, the second best college in the USA, Harvard, right behind W&M, baby. I've heard nothing but great things about Coach Johnson, as well as Andy Reid. And I train a lot of guys that actually played with Andy Reid, either at the Eagles or the Chiefs. And even the players have the utmost respect for Coach Reid and all he's done. And I know that they really revel in his success with the Chiefs also now. So that is awesome. So bring me to 2017. You get named the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. What was that like? I mean, bring back that day. It was January 11th, 17. I mean, what did that feel like?
Well, it was unbelievable the way it unfolded, just the process behind it. So, you go as a head coach candidate, you go on a couple interviews, and I had my first interview with Buffalo, and then I had a couple other interviews, one with the Chargers at the time, and then also the 49ers, and they hired great coaches themselves. But what happened, so Buffalo was my first interview, and we agreed, I guess at the end of the first interview, that I would not move on another job until I called them. That was kind of the handshake agreement we had. And so I knew it went well in the first interview. And then as soon as my last interview wrapped up that day, they wanted me to fly back to the Buffalo, to the meeting with the ownership. And so long story short, I just went, I needed to get home because I had been stranded in New York for a couple of days, just on some of these other interviews and airports and whatnot. So went home, and just to be able to have that time with my family, in particular my wife, and discuss, hey, the finalities leading up to the job and how it's going to change. It's going to be a lifestyle decision and a lifestyle change. So, and then to be able to get the job, very grateful to Terry and Kim Pagula. And then just for word to get out while I was on the airplane flying home.
Right.
Heck, unbelievable. I mean, I think when I landed, I must have had between 300 and 500 text messages. Just incredible, which is awesome.
No, it's incredible. I remember that. I was so proud, man, to see that, because I know that you were looking to turn around a culture there. And I want to talk about that because a lot of people who are listening today, Sean, whether they be entrepreneurs or high performers or even coaches at multiple levels, high school, college, pro, coaches that own gyms, leadership is really, really important. And what you've done in a very short amount of time is impressive. You've taken a mediocre, I'll call it mediocre team that was used to winning, that had been struggling, and you changed the culture. What are a few things that you instilled early on to say, you know what, I've got to take this and I've got to turn on the organization? Are there a few principles or a few rules or a few things you did to help change the culture with the Bills?
Well, yeah, and you're spot on, Todd. So it had been 17 years since this organization had made the playoffs, but they had been successful. I mean, growing up in the early 90s, watching this organization go to 4 straight Super Bowls, just incredible.
That was our era, by the way. That was William Mary time. I remember watching watching.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'm connected now with Andre Reed. He's out here in San Diego and work with Andre on a couple of things. We're in a Bible study together. And Andre, obviously a huge Bills fan, but that was the era when we were back at William Mary. We're watching the Bills.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So,
Interesting.
so it was, it's been cool. Number one, to meet a lot of those guys like Andre, and what a special group with Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas, a lot of whom are still around and quite frequently around our team.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, I think the biggest thing we wanted to do when we came in, Todd, was to get the right people on the bus. And it's a people-driven business, like many things, and build those key relationships. And so there were already good people in the building. We just had to identify and make sure we kept and retained those people, and then added to those people. And then, I'm a big believer in if you win off the field, it makes it a whole heck of a lot easier to win on the field. And so we went, head first into accomplishing that as well.
What's the hardest part of your job now?
Yeah, I think any leader, the hardest part of the job is making unpopular, what are perceived to be unpopular decisions.
Right.
And how lonely leadership at times is. There's a lot of times when you're after a game or sitting in my office making, hoping, praying that I've made the right decision. But I always come back to if I'm prayed up and I've got the right mindset, every decision I make is what I feel is best for our team, I'm certainly hopefully going to bat and get a hit more than I strike out. So
when you say it's lonely, like, is that loneliness typically like late at night when everything's quieted down and the kids are asleep, the wife's in bed, and your mind can't turn off? Or is it at different times? When do you find that, like, man, your mind is racing?
Yeah, all the time.
I love it.
I mean, listen, you're passionate about, it's like running a business.
That's right.
I mean,
that's right.
I don't own the business. Terry and Kim Pagula do, but they've entrusted me with a huge responsibility to handle their investment the right way. And so I take a lot of pride in that, and I take a lot of ownership in that. And so, but to answer your question specifically, I think it's more in those moments when you've made a big decision, or when things haven't gone your way out, after a loss on a Sunday afternoon.
Yep.
And you have those moments where the crowd's gone home, and you look back and you say, hey, where did we go wrong? Where did I go wrong? And what do I need to do to get it fixed?
And how good are you at, let's say, it eats you up for hours? Is it typically through Sunday night, Monday it's a new game, you got to flip the page? Are you good at compartmentalizing and moving on, or is it how long does it fester with you?
Well, you show me a coach that's really good at moving on in the couple hours after a game, and I'll question whether or not he cares enough, right?
Probably ain't winning much.
I'm not very good at it. I'm learning, I'm learning. Listen, at the end of the day, you have to move on. And as leaders, we want to be basically the thermostat as opposed to the thermometer for the team, staff. So in order to do that, we've got to get to that point where we do move on. But I'm a competitive guy, and that's probably why I do this to begin with.
You mean that same guy that was running around on the field as a safety and run all over the place on the defense and getting all conference honors? He's still just as competitive, huh?
Come on, man! I know you are.
You ain't kidding. I mean, that's what keeps the juices flowing. Doesn't matter if you're 18 or you're 25 or you're 48. Doesn't matter. So, man, that is awesome. Speaking of setbacks, obstacles. What would you say has been your biggest obstacle with coaching in Buffalo, and what did you do about it, or what do you do about it?
Well, I think changing the mentality is as we've changed the culture or continue to change the culture. I think changing a mentality when you haven't been to the Super Bowl or they haven't been to the playoffs in 17 years, there's a progression of mentality that needs to take place. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of games early in the first year where it's hey, fourth quarter got a chance to win it, but all of a sudden, something bad happens and you try and fight the here we go again mentality. Here we go again. And so you move on from that to expecting to win, and now expecting to have a position albeit we've got to earn it, but have a position in postseason.
So how do you do that? How do you get over that? Here we go, and momentum's going the other way. How do you shift that with your players?
Well, if you got the right people, that's where, again, it comes back to people, Todd. If you've got the right people and you're driving home a consistent message at some point, and this is, again, where it goes back to the routines, the habits, the process. If you've got that part right, eventually that's you're gonna get one of those to go your way, and then all of a sudden when you get one, you get two, and it becomes infectious after that.
Well, you gotta let me in some insight. When I watch it on TV, I see Sean McDermott, the stoic Vince Lombardi figure, like being non-emotional, and I know inside it is just stewing like fire in there. So how do you keep that stoic emotion when I know inside of you, I'm like, I know that McDermott right now, that he wants to unleash on that referee for that horrible call or whatever it is. And not that you're always perfect, but how the heck do you keep that emotion in check?
It's a challenge, man. It really is. I mean, one of my interviews to become a head coach, I was asked, and this is one of the years I didn't get the job, but I was asked, hey, how are you going to be on the sideline? And I left the interview thinking to myself, well, basically my answer was, I said, listen, I'm just going to be myself. And so I left the interview, didn't get the job. And I'm thinking to myself, there must be some book. Surely there's some book that they hand to all these head coaches that says, you must think this way, assume this position with your hands, cross your arms and be stoic, to your point. I try number one, to put my team first. Don't always do a great job of keeping my emotions in check, but I think there's a balance, right? Because
absolutely,
I want them to know that I'm competitive and that I want to win. And so there is a fine line.
Well, even in the 3 years that you've been coaching at Buffalo, and I've had several people who have coached under your tutelage, I know that they already love you there. They love playing for you. And I think it's a balance of the respect because of who you are as a man and your character, you're fiery, you're emotional, but also that you listen and that, you're not out there to prove a point. It's like you're listening, you're taking in from many of the leaders on the team. So hats off to you on that. Although I won't take this hat off right now. The Buffalo Bills hat is on. If you think about some of your mentors, and you mentioned some, but I want you to think before these guys that you actually got to coach under, who were some of the folks back, like when you were growing up, that you almost had this image in your head, like, man, that's the picture of an iconic coach. Do you have any in mind who come to your mind of some of these great figures?
I would say just, it's weird because you wouldn't know their names, but really it was the coaches that I had growing up.
Okay, good.
Mark on my career. Even guys that coached when I was playing AAU ball, or some of my wrestling coaches. I mean, I used to love the guys that were intense as all get out, would be fiery. Those are the guys that I loved playing for, that I loved as coaches. I mean, and then, in contrast, I remember having some coaches that in youth baseball that I didn't know if they had a pulse or not. So like,
this is not how I want to do
it. You got to make the environment around you. And so I learned a lot from those experiences. I also learned a lot from my defensive coordinator at William and Mary, Russ Huseman, who's now the head coach at University of Richmond, and he was a fiery guy and still is, I hope. And so
he is.
So I love that, I think that's how you got to compete.
Well, I think a lot of the players enjoy that too, because it's an emotional game. I believe life is emotional, right? We've got to play with some emotion. I think of guys like even way back in the day in the show, and this was like when I was young, just a couple years, Tom Landry. I mean, the great Tom Landry and Don Shula, the late Don Shula. Heck, I think of Marv Levy, and I met Coach Levy. You think of an iconic coach. I mean, Marv Levy, how do you come back from, not one Super Bowl loss, but multiple, and get guys to play at the highest level? He perhaps had the most difficult job of all. And to your point is, I think of my own coach, Coach Warren Wolf, the late Coach Wolf, about an iconic figure who learned from the Joe Coviellos and the John Woodens and this. It's like, man, there were some coaches that went before us, both men and women. I think of Pat Summitt, who had fire in her, but she was an amazing coach. Speaking of which, how do you overcome a tough loss? We were talking about adversity. last year. Not to pull off the scab, but you had a tough loss in overtime in the playoffs against the Texans. When I know your mind goes over and over again, how do you get over that? Not you, but how do you make sure that the team doesn't, live in that loss, knowing that it's a brand new year, most teams are going to be unhappy then the year except one. How do you get over that?
Oh man, I think for me, and then subsequently for us, we're so looking forward to next year. As soon as that year was over, we're looking so forward to next year. Can't wait to get back on the field. Can't wait to get back on the mat. If you're a wrestler, when you lose, I mean, that's what you can't wait for another shot, right? I mean, give all the credit in the world to Kansas City. There's a lot of great teams in the playoffs, and we just can't wait for another shot to improve our position. And I think that's the true mark of a champion. You just can't wait to get back on the mat again.
Yeah. Coach, I'm making a prediction right now. I've got next year's Super Bowl. I actually know who's going to be in it.
Go ahead.
Buffalo Bills versus New Orleans Saints. Drew's last year. I've been working for 18 years, and I got my man, Sean McDermott. Now, don't ask me who's going to win, because I'm going to sit in there and I'm just going to revel in the fact that I got two of my guys, one coaching, one playing, and I'm making that prediction now.
Well, we used to go up. Drew and I used to go up against each other enough in the NFC South when I was in Carolina.
That's right.
He's a tough cookie, man. I'll tell you what. And I've just been around him at some of the Pro Bowls, watching his habits. A lot of respect for Drew and the way he's carved out his career.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the coolest things, and you have this too, it's some of the players that respect the game, respect the shield, respect those who've gone before them. I look at a coach, or Jim Kelly, and what he's done, not only in the city of Buffalo, but in the country, and with his fight against cancer. I mean, these are guys I know that you and I emulated growing up, and then guys like Drew now that really respect those who have gone before them, and you hit the nail on the head as far as a competitor. Obviously, a guy like Drew, but hey, you have a young quarterback over there in Buffalo that can sling it too, and I think the future is bright for many years to come. Last question on Buffalo, and I just want to talk and end with a couple questions about you personally. I know every coach, and this is the hard part, because you envision success in multiple Super Bowls, and hopefully you do get Buffalo a Super Bowl, and I know that's coming. As far as your legacy in Buffalo, what would you want your legacy to be in Buffalo?
Yeah, I think the word legacy, I always cringe when I hear legacy. When I think of the word legacy, I think of, to me, sometimes I guess maybe it's a little selfish, and I don't really tie myself into that as much as I do. Look, I'm a man of faith, and I try, and more than anything else, wins will come. I'm confident in that, and then some losses will come. And I think the bigger thing, Todd, that I'm going to try and do is to say, when it's all said and done, I always want two things. I want my family and my players to say, I'm thankful that Sean was my dad or my husband or my coach. They may not have understood at the time when I had to be director or firm, but the thing I fear the most is letting them down, letting my family down, letting my players down, letting my teammates down, staff included. And so as I tell them, I want them to be on that porch in those rocking chairs, holding their wives' hands and say, you know what, I'm glad that Sean was my dad, Sean was my coach. And then even bigger than that is just that people will say, hey, you know what, he tried to do it the right way as a man of faith. Man,
that is awesome. That is awesome. And folks, I hope you're enjoying. We've got Coach Sean McDermott talking about not only NFL football, but all aspects of coaching and life and legacy and all. Coach, I want to end with this. I got a couple questions on that. I know you take great pride in your own physical conditioning, and I know you working out. And look at he's making the muscles, but I'm actually a proponent of us not us, you all you head coaches and coaches in the NFL having some physical fitness, some sort of like either a challenge or competition or test. Because I'm putting Sean McDermott at the top of the leaderboard in that. You've taken great pride in yourself on that. Talk about why it's important to you and what it does for you physically and even mentally.
Oh man, it's part of the competitive advantage. It's part of the edge, man, because if I don't work out, my wife knows there's two things. If Sean McDermott doesn't get a workout, or he's not well rested, which I'm I'm usually not well rested, in particular during the season. She'll tell me, hey, you need to go get a workout or you need to go take a nap because, you're not right now. And so self-awareness goes a long ways, right? It's just, listen, it's important.
Yep.
There are so many stressors on our minds and our bodies and our spirits, for that matter, in this business, in this profession, or just in life, as we know right now.
Yeah.
That it's important that you're able to put your health first, because, and this is real, your mind's got to, if you're not right, then you can't expect your team to be right.
Well, amen to that. And I can't wait for you to read the new book coming out. It's on its way, by the way, to Orchard Park, so that you get a hand to get your mind right. But when it comes to your conditioning during this season, are you working out 4 days a week, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, game day? Like, what is it? And is it in the morning typically that you're getting that in?
Yeah, typically in the morning, I like to get in there. I'll get up around 3:30, get in there, and I'll watch film first when it's quiet, or I'll get in there and get my workout in when it's quiet. And so that's when I get my day started during the season, and I get it rolling, man. And there's nothing better than a workout, nothing better than a sweat in the morning.
Wait a second. Let me rewind. You said 3:30. What time do you go to sleep at?
Yeah, I try and get to bed by 10, 10:30, something like that. But
Okay.
I get in a role, in a habit during the season, and that's what works for me. So.
And hence your wife saying, Sean, take a nap, get a workout in. I love it. This is an interesting question. As far as all the young coaches who's, whether they're in school or they're in the profession now, do you think there's ever going to be a female coach in the NFL? A head coach.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, because there's already female coaches.
Yep.
And around our league, there's also female officials now.
Yes.
And I think the way that those women have blazed their trail sets it up for exactly what you're talking about, Todd, of someone as a head coach, a female as a head coach, or a female as a head referee, somewhere down the road here. And so I think that's great. I mean, my daughter, Maddie, our oldest, loves football as much as my son. So why not, if we're really saying that this is the best of the best in the world, then why take basically 50% of the population off the map and say, well, you don't get a chance. So.
Yeah. Amen. I love that. Sean, as far as your favorite mantra or an inspirational quote, is there anything that you live by now? Is there something that hangs in your office that you're like, you look back because it reminds you of when you were in middle school or high school and you were training in your garage, or back in high school and you're thinking you're back at LaSalle High School? Is there an inspirational quote because of someone you lost in your life? What's your motivational mantra that keeps you going, your deeper purpose?
Yeah, I would say there's three. I'll just say there's two kind of quotes that that are always in the back of my mind. The one is that my mom taught me growing up. She would always tell me before I took the wrestling mat, hey, no pain, no gain. And that was one. And the other one is in the Bible, and it talks about to those who much has been given, much is expected, much is required. And so I live by that. I've been blessed, man, in so many ways. And I just hope that I'm living it out the right way. And then the last thing is just probably more of a mindset, is just the underdog approach, man. I've had so many people in my life tell me I'm not good enough, whether it's as a player, which was true, or in this case as a coach in the coaching profession. I live and love to prove people wrong.
Deep. When you say the underdog approach, when you came to William Mary, were you a walk-on?
Yeah, I was a walk-on. Yeah.
What was your size?
Oh man, I was 5'10" and a half, 180 probably.
Okay. So I want everyone to hear that, guys, because you think about wherever your walk is in regards to your age, 5'10", 180, walk on, despite winning 2 national championships as a wrestler, walks on at William Mary as a football player, eventually earns a scholarship and eventually earns all conference, and keeping that underdog mentality about what it takes to win in life in all aspects. And Sean, you mentioned a couple times, and I want to go a little bit deeper about your faith. And I love that too. Much is given, much is required. I think that's something that drives me at the end of the day. I think about when I get to the pearly gates is it's not what I've accomplished. It's really is God going to say to me, well done, good and faithful servant, because who I created you to be is who you were. I don't want to meet God at the pearly gates and have him say, you know what, there was a lot more I created you, and everyone thinks that, you have all this success, but you didn't ever tap into all that I gave you. What is it with your faith that you specifically pray that you can continue to be obedient to, and talk more about your faith? I think that's an important aspect that not many people know.
Yeah, I mean, I think just overall, I mean, even during these last 2 months, really, I've learned so much about myself. I've learned from a self discovery standpoint, not just spiritually, but certainly spiritually as well. And just spending more time in the Bible, making sure that I'm staying connected with a couple different Bible studies with other men on the call. One is our coaches Bible study that we hold with our staff in Buffalo, and then one is with my local church here in Buffalo. And I just think there's so many there's so much more out there, and if I'm always embracing, like I asked my team to do, that growth mindset, then hey, I wake up every day, man, I'm not a finished product yet, and there's just so much more for me to learn.
That is powerful. That is powerful. Well, anything else that I should be asking you that I'm not, Sean? Because you have so much. Anything else you want to share with our folks today?
Just tell all the listeners how many times you threw a dart right over my ear in 7-on-7 back in the day. And, no, I think it's, it was really cool. And I get asked the question a lot about kind of my faith journey. And when I got on campus, and I think it's important for the listeners to hear this, when I get on campus, the best thing that ever happened to me my freshman year was that Todd Durkin and Mike Tomlin were on our football team. And I think you guys were both captains. Was it the same year?
I was a captain 1 year ahead of Mike.
Okay, so you two great leaders that both went to FCA. And that was just a great example for me as a young Christian and a young player of you can be a man of faith or a growing man of faith and still be one heck of a football player, one heck of a competitor, and still be cool. I think that was a great example for me at a young age. So I appreciate that, Todd.
Well, Sean, thank you. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate the man that you are, the father that you are, the husband you are. And you talk about impact, man, you are doing it. And I love watching from afar, and I want you to know you have a huge fan out here with the whole Durkin family. And I know you have a lot of new fans that are listening in today. So I just appreciate all that you do and how you're living your life.
Oh, thanks, Todd. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Hey, Sean, last one on this. I always talk about live a life worth telling a story about, and you are living a life worth telling a story about. If there's 3 words that would epitomize you, what are those 3 words?
Yeah, gratitude, humble, and hungry.
Ooh, I like it. Gratitude, humble, hungry on that. Hey, guys, if you want to follow Coach McDermott, you know where to follow him. It's called the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills is where you can follow him. Sean, thank you so much for your time today. Hugs to your family. And I got to get to Buffalo. I got to get out there. I've not been to a Buffalo Bills game. So I'm going to get out there hopefully this fall and see that. Or it'll just be in the Super Bowl in 2020.
That'd be great. Either one will work for us.
All right. Thanks so much, Coach.
Thanks,
see you later, Sean.
Thank you.
Woo-wee. Man, was that awesome or what? I'm fired up, by the way. It sounded like Coach McDermott was going to give me another chance to come out and be a camp arm. I kind of like that. Get my arm ready to go and stay in great shape. I don't know about you, but if you were out walking, I bet you at some point you actually turned it into a jog. If you're out jogging, you turned it into a run, because Coach McDermott certainly knows how to push your buttons and fire you up. And it was great to reconnect with Coach McDermott. And I hope, even if you're not a Buffalo Bills fan, that you watch the Buffalo Bills and you have even more respect for Coach McDermott and the organization of the Buffalo Bills. So no doubt about it, I enjoyed that episode, and I know that you got great value. Don't forget, if you enjoyed it, please share this. Share it with your team, your family, your friends, your colleagues. You can forward the episode to them. You could put it on your social media, whatever you can do to help promote the message of inspiration, hope, and motivation right now as we get ready to rock and roll into the summer. And again, we are just 8 days away, my friends, 8 days away from the big launch of Get Your Mind Right. So if you could help spread the gospel on that, don't forget, if you haven't pre-ordered your book, as I mentioned before the show started, is to get your book now. Just go to toddurkin.com, toddurkin.com/get your mind right, /get your mind right. Get a book. If you want to get a few of those books, there's bundles available. But go out there and circle the wagons today. Enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day. Thanks for tuning in. Make it a great week. Make it a great week. I know there's great news coming, and I can't wait for this week. Thank you for all that you do. And remember to train hard, live right, and of course, get your mind right.